Someone got the food. Life force running out.
Hello there, everybody. How's it go? It is, of course, Tuesday. Wow, time and space are relative anymore. Tuesday, June the 23rd, 2020. Welcome back to Mr. Video Games. I am, of course, the host of the show, who what does the talkie times, Slacker Kite. I am the guy who push button and get Brian and Marilyn here to do the talkie back at me. It's good times, of course. Thanks everyone for who what does the tune in. Monday, we just didn't feel great about going live. I already was sick in the first place, so doing this as a Tuesday show instead. Uh, of course, we have returning with us today. Yeah, I already mentioned, but hey, it's our good boy Brian Wonder Boy. Thank you for coming into the show today.
Yeah, I'm definitely here. Um, yeah, this has been a week. This has been just we'll get into everything, but
Yeah,
yeah, this has been. I don't know the right words to really describe what this week has been like.
yeah.
It's really, oh God.
And just for everyone listening, we're going to start off once we have our top of the hour dialogue, and we get past that. We'll get into the heavy part first, so rip it off like a band-aid. And hey, if you only want to tune in for the fun talky times, completely understood. We'll get to that probably in like a half hour, but hey, there's stuff we got to talk about first. But anyway, completely sidetracked. Of course, returning as always today, we have the lovely Lindsay Lady Merowin here on the show. Thank you for coming.
Always happy to be here. Although, I mean, 2020, man, the hits just keep coming.
A noted philosopher once told me that the hits start coming and they don't stop coming. So I do believe that is true.
Why haven't we hit the ground running yet? Then
That's one.
Well, it just doesn't make sense just to live for fun. It's the problem.
I'm not my look. I'm not dumb. All right.
Oh boy, how's you know what? I'm not even going to ask Brian because I already know how your week's been. Because I know
We'll
what
get
your job is.
put it this way. Let's just put it this way. You'll know what my week was like whenever we get to the first topic, because literally almost my entire past week has been the topic we're starting off with.
How about you, Lady Marilyn? How's your week been?
Well, I mean, it's been melty because, dear God, heat waves. Um,
Super.
but beyond that, yeah, I've just kind of been reading news and shaking my head and wanting to curl up in a little ball. So,
Yeah, it's things have gotten to be fascinating when you talk to your therapist about like, the things that I have to read for my Fun Time Talkie show has been really making me very upset lately. And what do I do about that? So that's cool. But you know what? First, let's talk about, of course, I've been playing the game that everyone's been talking about, just on the tip of, just everyone's tongue when they talk about video games. Yes, of course, I'm talking about Retro Bowl. Brian had
Yo, yo.
recommended this to me a while ago. Hey, Giant Pie, how's it going? And I didn't realize how much I missed football until Goggles was streaming, and I figured I would just kill a couple minutes till she was done streaming by loading up something on my phone. What do I got here? Oh, here's Retro Bowl. I'll give it a try. Brian had recommended this before. Like 5 hours later, I had brought the Atlanta Falcons into a title victory, and then
Sucks you in.
yeah, that I want to compare it to think the graphics of like an NES football game, Tecmo Bowl, stuff like that, and it kind of just hits. It's a football management game with some actual gameplay elements. It's like the fucking NBA Jam of football management simulation, and that is such a weird fucking phrase coming off the tip of my tongue. And even if you
No,
pay it for it, it's $1.
exactly. Like it's a free game to download. There's like purchases in app. It's on mobile and iOS. But it's basically Tecmo Bowl. But with management tools in there as well, like building a team and all that stuff. So I really liked it. I ended up just downloading it on a whim before I even mentioned it to Travis, and got lost in it for like 5 hours the night that I downloaded it. And I really dig it. So obviously I was going to throw that out to other people that I think will be into a love letter to Tecmo Bowl, because that's basically what it is. And for I don't normally play a ton of games on mobile devices, just because they usually are like structured in a way that I don't like to engage with. But this one gave me an itch to scratch, and it's been fun.
Yeah, it's I didn't think like a mobile game would like overseat I always mention you must build a boat or Downwell for the best mobile games, or maybe if you're into that sort of thing, fuck that game that Devolver put out with you're a ruler and it's basically Tinder, but God,
Reigns.
Raids, that shit.
Reigns was great. You got me into that one, and I very promptly lost like half a day.
Yeah, that is also a really fucking good game that hey, I would recommend to literally anybody, whether you like mobile games or not. But man, when people say there's no such thing as good mobile games, they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. But
They're out there. They're few and far between at times. Also, real quick, we're throwing out recommendations. If you like Reigns, another game that is fun and has a similar structure, Quester, with like there's no E between the T and the R, just Quester like that. It's made by the same people that made I Can't Believe It's Not Gambling, and it's pretty good.
yeah, I've heard of that game. Hear good shit. But of course, I did play the game that everyone is presently talking about, The Last of Us 2. Um, and I got a couple hours into it, and the game has already made me cry with its story. Of course, it follows up several years later after the original story of Joel and Ellie. And first off, the game is fucking gorgeous. Just off the top, once you start it up, like the game hits you with all of the settings for if you can't see well, if you can't hear well, etc. There's all of this stuff, and for the first fucking time ever, whenever you get that stupid fucking slider that says, "Hey, make the screen, just yay dark," it actually shows you pictures of different landscapes and tells you what to be looking for on those landscapes when you make that contrast to a certain thing. That was the best fucking thing in the whole world. I'd give it a 10 out of 10 just for that, so I actually know what the fuck the contrast slider's doing. But yeah, the gameplay is great. The only problem I could really give it insofar is, 2020 has been a hell of a year. If you don't want a whole bunch of murder porn, I completely understand it, and this game may not be for you, but I was literally fucking raised on Quentin Tarantino. One of my mom's favorite movies growing up was Pulp Fiction. So this is fine as far as I'm concerned.
Hey Trav, real quick, the video you have up, there's a spoiler on the screen.
Is there?
Yeah, look at the recommended videos.
Gross. Theater mode, thank you.
Yeah, sorry. Just noticed that. Anyway,
Ooh. Son of a bitch.
it's okay. It's all right. No, but I haven't had a chance to play the game yet, so I can't speak to everything. But I think there is some valid criticism of the excessive and gratuitous violence that is in this game. Just like any other Naughty Dog game, really. Like I'm currently replaying the original Last of Us, and like kind of leading up to playing this game, and like even in that game, it feels antiquated at points whenever you get to like how some of the violence is portrayed in the game itself, especially whenever like the game really sells itself and is the most powerful whenever it is focused on the characters that you are around and the situations that you find yourself in and that sort of thing. It really like it leans heavy on story, and that's really the lasting thing that you pull from either game.
Yeah.
And the fact that you have like it feels like almost like arbitrary that they go as over the top as they do, like to the point where it just doesn't have the same feeling. Like there's no real, you don't feel that connection between that part of the world and the world they want to sell you on in a way. For me personally, so like it's I was raised on the same movies that you were in a way. Like I will watch. The Drek that I watch.
Yeah, absolutely. You watch more gory shit than I do.
Exactly. And while I do enjoy that stuff, I also like very quickly critique how like gratuitous bullshit is just there for gratuitous bullshit. And a lot of the violence, the level of it, I think is done to the point where it's just there for shock reactions and it really serves no purpose. And so I don't know.
See, to me, it reminds me a lot of how Martin Scorsese. You have these like beautiful expanses and these long dialogues, and they're great. And then it cuts to this over-the-top gore stuff going on in the game, and it reminds me more of that for me, right? Like how Martin Scorsese, when he's doing his films, when things are normal and how the real world fucking works and shit. Everything flows peacefully and normally, and then when all the shit goes down, it's always these MTV jump cuts, just different angles and all of this shit going on. For me, the fact that it feels the gore doesn't feel real because of how hyper gory it is, kind of more sets in the point to me. But
yeah,
as I said before, different people are going to have a different reaction to this, especially in 2020. Criticism of the violence in this, I can see it going either way. it really is going to be subjective whether you know, see it in an artistic vision or if you see it in the, oh, that's kind of gross. Did you really do all that? And I think that's a legitimate problem of the game that you know, that it's hard to really get a feel of the tone that they're going for without having to put your own bias into it. And I do think that is to the game's discredit. Um, so, you know, the people giving it a 10 out of 10, I have disagreements. But I
Yeah.
still love it.
No, and that's rightfully so. Like, there's plenty to love from everything that I've read and people that I've talked to about it. Like, there's plenty to love here, you know, and but the same way the first game did.
Mm.
But there's just that disconnect, especially in an interactive media.
Mm.
You know, like that disconnect really has a spotlight shown head on it. Whenever you look at how, especially because this is not just a Last of Us problem.
Mm.
This is this is just something that Naughty Dog does.
Yeah.
You know, the same way that like all the shooting in their games suck. Like
You're not
like,
wrong.
it's just a Naughty Dog trait. The shooting is subpar, and there's going to be violence for the sake of violence.
Yeah, the stealth mechanics are always great and fun, but Naughty Dog has never been great with gunplay, and I frankly don't mind because I also kind of hate gunplay in the first place. So the fact that I
Yeah.
can stealth through most of it is fine by me.
Same.
So my philosophy on the game is twofold. One, when you played Half-Life 2, how impressed were you? Like, ooh, look at that thing over there. I'm going to go play with it. If that was your reaction to that, you might enjoy the game. And if you have played other Naughty Dog games and you get to the violence, be like, no, whatever. You know, and that doesn't give you that feeling of ludonarrative dissonance, game is probably for you, and you might have that 10 out of 10 experience. I just think more people need to be more objective to the fact that, you know, overall, this is a really fucking stellar game. May even be a game of the year for 2020 contender. I'm not done with it yet, so I'm not sure, but I don't really think it's, you know, something we have to hold up like, this is art! I am really just delaying the inevitable. So, shall we get to the actual top story then?
Yep. I've been bolstering myself with tasty strawberry vape juice, and I'm my body is ready.
Cool.
That's a bad way to lead into this.
Damn it, it is. Shit.
It's
Sorry,
okay,
guys.
It's all right. No, it's okay. It's okay. I know where that comes from. It is not. It's just yeah. It's all right. Anyway. God damn it.
Oh, the Note Kitty's dead. No! Merlin killed my Note Kitty. You son of a bitch.
Oh, Merlin, why?
Yo. You gotta establish dominance whenever you enter a new house.
2020 ruins everything. Okay. So, God, I hate doing this. Feels like every week we have had to come into with like, hey, so there's some bad things going on, and here's one general story, and we're going to use this as kind of explainer to all the other fucking stories we're talking about, but let's get into basically over the last weekend, Twitch, Twitter, etc. A whole lot of people in the gaming community and otherwise have been talking a lot about sexual harassment, men really over overstaying their welcome in many ways on advances that were not welcome, unwarranted, and all sorts of wonderful, gross conversation. And boy, when you bring up like, hey, did you hear about, that person, that guy that did that gross, really gross thing? Usually there's one you can point to, and boy, there's like 20, 50 of them, and each one is grosser than the last one. And um, if I try to cover all of them here, you will see me vomit on camera. I don't think you want that. Kelvin and Coop don't want that. Giant Pie don't want that. Lady Goggles don't want that. So we're here to talk about in general, and of course, if Wonder Boy or Marilyn want to bring up any specific instances, they absolutely can. But I am just going to initially focus um, on one of the larger stories. So OPG had a whole lot of really big content creators that are a part of that platform. Dodger is probably the biggest name, but Con Carnage and a whole lot of other people were also on the platform that left after the CEO of the company, Omid Dariani. Um, there's Molly Fenderleia has a nice, you can read it if you want to. It's a very long thread going into his harassments going back years here. And you can see in this tweet, Omid does not deny it and stepped down instantly of being the CEO of that company, but it doesn't matter because, boy, most of their talent just fucking up and left anyway, and good for them. They deserve to, even if the company would not stand by a harasser of that nature. Good on them for leaving, but when you're one of the big streamers, it's fairly easy to just leave because, look, Dodger is going to find another place to go, but this man's bullshit ruined the lives of a lot of smaller people. There were a lot of people that are going to be caught off guard. That company is, of the 73 clients that are their major clients, 50 have terminated their contract and are leaving, as is absolutely their right. So this company is basically going to be folding soon. So even if the smaller people didn't say want to leave the company now that Omid is out, it doesn't fucking matter. They're going to get fucking screwed, and it's difficult to find representation out there these days. So, yeah, the story that I'm going to go to start with is this one fucking awful piece of shit who admits fully that he is to blame, at least in this one. That is the only positive I will fucking give him, is that he owned up to it and quit the company in hopes that it could somehow be fucking salvaged. And it feels weird talking mostly about the company, but hey, this is, of course, a video game stream. But yeah, there are so many more stories to this. There are so many more people who came forward over the last weekend. So, Merowyn, Wonder Boy, I'll open that up to you guys now.
So this has been basically my week. This, not necessarily this story specifically with Omid, although his story is one that I've been following here and there, but whether it be streaming or games journalism, games media, game development, games PR, pro wrestling. I've been mostly dealing with the pro wrestling issues at this point regarding the hashtag speaking out movement, which they're having their own Me Too movement, similar to what's going on right now with all those other gaming sectors. Um, they're all kind of coinciding at the same time. I know specifically in the wrestling sphere, we have now seen over 70 people accused of everything from, I don't even know if I want to, like, everything from like grooming, predation, to sexual assault, to full on rape, to, you know, like sex with minors, like all kinds of stuff. Um, it's really bad, and because of me being so like diving down to cover the wrestling stuff, I have not really had a chance to dive into as much on the gaming side of it. But I can tell you that there have been almost just as many, if not as many, people in the streaming sector that have come forward with their own stories about different things. If you want, there is a Medium post that's kind of amalgamating all of the stories and people that are being accused of stuff, and I'm gonna post that in the chat for anybody that wants to look at that. It's a incredibly long list with some very high profile names in the streaming world. I'd say for me personally, the ones I recognize the most were Pro Syndicate and Angry Joe.
Yeah.
Both were included there. Obviously, within wrestling, like people that I know, people that I'm friendly with, are on were on both sides. Were of the both the survivors and the accused. In the games journalism sphere, there are people that I know that were on both sides of this too. Um, and within that sector, I think most notably, like some of the, at least one former editor at IGN was brought back up again, and then also just kind of a culture that was kind of brought up, this misogynistic culture at IGN that was talked about a lot by some former employees. That I know, Kelly Plague being one, who currently works at GameSpot, talking about her experiences there, um, under the former CEO who left, oddly enough, right whenever I started covering games, um, as a journalist back
Yeah,
in
and
2018.
put a
So
pin in that reminder about the IGN stuff as well. That's
yeah,
something worth remembering.
but this is, like I said, it's in all these different areas. I know in the games development sphere, probably the most high profile name of all of the gaming stories that we've seen really is talking about Chris Avellone,
Mm.
the acclaimed games writer who, like, everybody has celebrated, and then now it's coming out from multiple people of making all these just gross sexual advances. Like, some of the text messages that I've seen are just appalling and upsetting. And I'll be frank, like, just covering the wrestling stories has affected my mental health personally. That's nothing compared to what these men, women, non-binary people have gone through when their experiences living with what they are alleging, and telling, and be having the strength to tell their stories publicly like this, and to see how much ridicule and vile that has been thrown their way because they are speaking up, like, it is so gross. Like, what the fuck? Like, this is the thing is, this is this happens almost on a yearly basis now. We have at some point, like, especially in gaming. Like, this isn't the first time we've had this sort of rash of stuff. In wrestling, this isn't the first time we've had this sort of rash of stuff. So what the fuck is going on? Why is no one listening and no one trying to make a real systemic change to make this stuff go away? It is immensely frustrating to watch this happen. And the more that I cover these industries, and the more that I get to know the people in these industries, even though I keep my distance as a journalist because that's just, the ethics of it, like, it still fucking pains me. It is, it just, ugh. I don't know.
Yeah, I've often been wondering, what really can be done. I mean, beyond, obviously conventions, getting rid of these people from ever attending, never promoting uh, people that, are known, but the lists are getting so long. I follow one person that does a whole lot of um, promotion for people in the streaming industry, especially Clara on Twitter. And some of the people that this happened with, she couldn't keep up with all of it, and it's her fucking job. Some of the people on the list were, former clients of hers. Some of the people that spoke out are current clients of hers, and what do you do with all of that? It's especially a lot of these are people that have been so highly respected. I can say if I wasn't doing the show, it'd be very easy for me to drone it out and not pay attention to it because a lot of it is just isn't in any of my areas of interest, right? I'm not a big Twitch culture person. Little bit on the YouTube culture, I guess, but like gaming personalities, on my own, I could take them or leave them. Some of them I find fascinating, but I never cared much other than maybe a handful, your Hideo Kojimas and whatnot. But that is definitely a place of privilege as well to be able to say that if it wasn't for all of this, I could so easily tune it out. And I have to imagine a lot of people are going to just fucking do that. And the apologists are already coming out of the woodwork. They're already, well, this is, you didn't do anything that bad. It's, fuck off. Just,
Yeah. One of the main things I keep seeing as a theme over and over again was she was asking for it. No, she wasn't. And I I stream on Twitch. We all stream on Twitch. And like to see Twitch come out with a statement like we
Oh,
take
don't even
accusations.
start on Twitch's statement. Sorry, I
Yeah,
didn't mean to cut you off.
we take accusations of sexual harassment and misconduct extremely seriously. We're actively looking into accounts concerning streamers affiliated with Twitch and will work with law enforcement where applicable. We're thankful for the bravery shown by those who have come forward to speak about their experiences, and we are committed to working to make the streaming community safer for everyone. By doing what? You still have partnered streamers that are grooming, that are sexually harassing, and in some cases assaulting, and they're still partners. You're not suspending them while you're investigating, if you are investigating, but is it because they're making you money that you don't care? There are instances of content creators and smaller streamers that have come forward with allegations with proof against partners, and the smaller streamer gets banned. There's someone, and I hate that I can't remember who it was, that said, I brought forth these allegations and I was contacted by their partner manager who said they would make my life a living hell if I don't retract this. Why? Like, this is all sorts of wrong. All sorts of wrong.
yeah, it's frustrating, and I don't think I'm going to have the answers for what do you do about this, and how do you keep it fair for everyone. I've got no clue, but it's not my fucking job. It's not my fucking job to have the answers. It's Twitch's fucking job. You should have an answer. I'm not saying tomorrow. Hey, fix toxic masculinity culture tomorrow. I just like to see something that you give a shit. Just a nibble.
Give us the ability to ban an IP, not just an account. Give that ban the ability to remove the ability to actually see the stream, not just can't participate in the chat. Full on blackout ban. And if they're a creator, they should immediately be flagged and investigated as to why they were banned from this channel. I mean, that seems simple enough, right?
Yeah.
You would think. You would think. I mean, I do want to double back real quick to Twitch's statement on this, because it's all too familiar to statements that I've seen from multiple organizations that have had people or themselves accused of these things, or helping to facilitate that culture, or not doing enough to quell such said cultures within their ranks. The fact that, and this is from a creator named Starling, who does music streams on Twitch. According to her, there was an all-hands meeting about partners using their platforms to abuse women at Twitch, and Twitch CEO Emmett Shear, when specifically, like, whenever they specifically used her case of against as an example, he reportedly chuckled, said, "Wow, the things that go on our platform, can't really comment," and moved on. This, okay, look, Emmett Shear can put out all the internal emails that he wants on his Twitter account, and Twitch can release all the blank, like the vague vague statements that don't really address the issues at all, and say that they're investigating these things, even though we've seen what Twitch investigations look like. Ultimately, something has to be done to platforms that facilitate these people, like you said, Marilyn. Like like, yes, we can organize and try and create safe spaces ourselves for people, and build coalitions to try and like help protect people and help push these ideas of not being a fucking abusive shitlord onto these cultures that breed it in the way that they do. Where I'm already seeing some of that stuff pop up in pro wrestling. But whenever you have Twitch putting out statements like this, I cannot do anything but fully support the idea of a 24-hour Twitch blackout, which is what a bunch of creators are calling for tomorrow.
I'm so on board with that.
So, like, I totally understand why. And like, Twitch has to understand the situation that they're facing. Like, you are just look at that Medium file. That Medium file that goes up near, I would not be surprised. I haven't even got to the bottom of it yet. I'm sure that like the numbers at some point go up into the over 100 of people that are making accusations, people that have been hurt, allegedly, by copious amount of people in this industry, you know. And that's not even counting the people that are in journalism that are being brought up in this, the people in PR that are being brought up in this, the people in game dev that are being brought up in this. Gaming PR firms need to look at their roles of people that they invite to events in journalism or otherwise, and look at who are being accused right now, and understand that you have to remove predators from those lists. You have to do that. You're not protecting anyone by saving someone else's face in that way.
Platforms like Twitch were already a pretty toxic place for women. Almost every time I see somebody come out and say, "Hey, I was harassed during my stream," you get the, "Well, women shouldn't be on Twitch. You guys are just selling your bodies. You guys don't actually game, blah, 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 blah." Shut up. Just shut the fuck up. There are girl gamers out there that could kick your ass. End of story. A lot of them stream on Twitch. Not everybody shows off their assets. If you do, kudos to you for having the confidence to do it. You don't deserve that harassment either.
I'm, it's this list that keeps going. There's so much of it that streaming and chatting and browsing through this at the same time. And some of it's not even loading because there's so much of it. A lot of guys, oh, women just don't like gaming. They do, but like this culture is shit. And yeah, of course they're going to stay to friendlier spaces, and you're not going to fucking see them. I do because I kind of happen to enjoy a lot of games that housewives also play sometimes. Some of the role playing games and shit. So I am fully aware of where women actually are and go. They avoid your shit because this just keeps going. And this keeps women out of not just, the streaming industry. This shit keeps women out of STEM. This shit keeps women out of um, out of executive levels, out of founding their own companies, out of developing. And it sucks.
Yeah. And we haven't even gotten to the Cards Against Humanity bullshit that came out today, by the way. Go read the article on Polygon. Nicole Carpenter did a stellar job in putting that together, talking about Max Temkin and Cards Against Humanity's culture internally. It is just terrible. And I know I saw Anita Sarkeesian put out an essay on Medium talking about her experience with that too, because she used to be friendly with Max Temkin, but and she admitted herself she was blind to it, but ultimately, you believe survivors, you believe people that are telling their stories, and she put it out there yeah, I'm not going to do that anymore. So yeah. It should also be noted that while we're talking a lot about women, there are also men and non-binary people that are victims of this stuff too, both in the gaming area of what's going on right now, as well as the pro wrestling area of what's going on right now, all around. I just want to
Yeah,
make sure, not to say anything. I just wanted to make sure that was out there because it is very true. Men can be survivors as well.
yeah. I mean, I do have several male friends that have been raped. It does go both ways, just far less often.
Yes.
But it seems to mostly be these men who had no power growing up, and suddenly, people look up to me. Suck my dick. I hate you. I hate all of you. Home. It's it's really hard to sit here and talk about all of this because it's just there's nothing you can say other than it's disgusting. And I like I said before, I don't have the answer. I don't know what you do about this, but more than a fucking mealy mouth, oh, well, we're a community that love each other and we're trying so hard to find the right things. Fuck you. Just fuck you.
The time to start doing that was whenever people were still glorifying Atari's hot tub culture. All right? Fuck that noise.
How the fuck do you segue from this into normal story? Because we've gone on for well over half an hour.
I mean, there really is no good way. It just You just gotta move on because there's other stuff that happened this week, obviously. Major
Yeah,
stuff.
and I'd rather talk to you guys about the fun things that happened over the weekend. You know, there's a couple other shit things, but boy, the fun things, that's kind of what we do the show for, and not to not talk about some of the shit things. Clearly we do all the goddamn time. But
It's good for your mental health to have balance. It's good for your mental health to take breaks from the shit and find something to at least like alleviate your brain and let yourself feel better for a little bit because the shit's gonna be there when you come back to it.
all right, anyway, though, The Last of Us 2 fucking blew the fuck up. It is somehow the biggest launch of this console generation, period. Whether it deserves to or not is clearly, a conversation we can have, and we can only talk about download game purchases. Downloads is a different question. But Animal Crossing New Horizons was the year's biggest release and potentially the biggest release of this decade, and The Last of Us 2 has now completely overridden that. I'm not surprised, to be honest with you. The Last of Us, the first entry in the series, was definitely marked as a cultural milestone, at least for the PlayStation 3 era. I've mentioned before, it's probably my favorite game of the last decade, and for good reason. But yeah, and ultimately fascinating. You look at this list of what's the current top 10. The Last of Us 2, Ring Fit Adventure, FIFA 20, Mario Kart 8, Call of Duty, GTA 5, Minecraft, 51 worldwide games, Pokemon Sword, and Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Not as if Nintendo isn't doing fucking well for themselves right now, too, but those sales, just holy shit.
I mean, I'm honestly not surprised
Yeah.
at all. Like this has been the most ballyhooed game for almost 2 years at this point. So, like, yeah, it makes total sense that they would have done gangbusters first week.
Yeah, it's a game that everyone who pays any attention to any of this stuff has been looking forward to. The amount of time and effort that Sony has spent playing up the game is just huge. When they first started talking about what was going to be big on the PlayStation 4, this is one of them. And yeah, Cube, Ring Fit Adventure continuously sells out on Amazon. And in other places as well, but I mostly am able to pay attention to the online retailers, and it's kind of hilarious that almost a year later, I didn't expect Ring Fit Adventure to be one of those games that are so big that no one can keep their hands on it. I kind of thought the plasticware game market was done, and I was just one of the last hangovers, but apparently not.
Well, I mean, you figure when Wii Fit first came out, like that was impossible to get your hands on as well unless it came with your Wii. Good luck trying to get the balance board. So like people are into the whole idea of I get to play games and get healthy.
Absolutely, but you know what people apparently aren't into? The Last of Us 2
The
itself, apparently.
gays! The gays! They're not into the gays in their bloody zombie game. Get the gays out. We don't want the gays here to shoot people, even though it didn't fucking matter in the first game. We don't want the gays in it.
It hardly matters in the second game. But I will say that a lot of the people who have been criticizing it, I've seen people who say they absolutely hate the game for reasons well beyond the queer representation in the game. and especially a lot of the people are ones that saw a whole lot of the pre-leaks before the game released and based their views on that which they saw, which was from fucking older builds and shit that they don't plan to fucking use. But hey, there you go. And of course, we live in a society, and there are only two scores that a person can give: a 0 or a 10, because nuance is dead. So
It's not even a question about nuance being dead necessarily. It's just a question of people being butthurt over something. That's all this is. Like, it's just like people like overreacting to dumb bullshit because they think there's a culture war out because we put some gay people in your game, and like there was a major thing that you thought was a betrayal against you. It was a betrayal against you. Fuck you. All right. Look, you want to talk about? You want to go and look at the leaks and stuff? Like, cool. That's a leak. You act like in most cases you probably had to actively go look at it to figure out what was going on, especially considering they pulled that shit fairly quickly. But also at the end of the day, like the leak was stuff out of context. So if you want to take that and put it into the game and then still be upset about it, that's on you in that way. Now, two, this goes back to the gays thing because like from what I've read, a lot of people are just like, why? Like there's an agenda. There's the gay agenda has infiltrated my game where I want to just shoot and be nihilistic. Like I look. I have 2-word review for all these people. Get fucked. All right, like there's no culture war. No one's trying to like push an agenda. They're just trying to provide representation in a way. And remember, whenever it was revealed that there was LGBTQ characterization in this game, like people were very, including myself, were very reticent to be like, is Naughty Dog gonna do this correctly? Is Naughty Dog gonna do this well? And from what I've seen, they do for the most part.
it's
So I'll give them that credit.
it
I haven't played it
exists.
myself.
It's not really like, at least from where I am in the game, it exists. But hey, Ellie's person there, she just kind of exists. It is not as if they are just every 5 seconds jumping in your face doing the smooches.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I had heard. It's like it's not like a toddler with a new toy going, "Lucky, lucky, 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 lucky." Like it's just there. You
Yeah,
don't
it's
like
like a
it,
genuine
gloss
love
over it,
story.
and move on. Like half people don't pay attention to story in games anyway.
Yeah, and a lot of people are mad about a death that happens earlier in the day. Coop pointed out, spoilers, Snape kills Dumbledore, all that good stuff. But yeah, you have the Last of Us game. People are going to die, and clearly, if they're going to do a follow-up to The Last of Us, there is going to be somebody dying. By the way, here is a Sans. Say hi to the internet, Sans.
Right.
But yeah,
I
Your
don't know.
cats,
Sorry, go ahead.
your cats are our mascots now. End of story.
I've said it so many times on this show, and I'll say it again. Review bombs are stupid, and they serve no purpose other than to prove that the internet sucks.
yeah.
No one has ever responded to a review bomb by changing anything. So if you want to waste your time, go for it.
Review scores are so moot and fucking subjective in the first place anyway. Like I said before, I don't agree with the 9.5 rating that the game has garnered. It's definitely fucking great. Maybe my game of the year, like I said. I'm not certain yet. We'll see if it's better than Hades. I'm not certain yet on that, but we'll get there to that when we get to it. Currently, it is Hades, Final Fantasy VII, then The Last of Us, and then Retro Bowl. That's where it goes.
Nice.
But yeah, you can't put a nuanced critique on a box art or in a tweet and get people to watch and follow that. So I completely understand why review scores are out there. And the fact that we're sitting here talking about the review scores shows that on some form or level it matters because it's an easy, digestible chunk. I want to know if this game is any good. Oh, 9.5. Maybe I'll give it a try.
You're
But
not wrong there. You're not wrong. I just also like I think people should really be delving into like, you know, context of stuff and people that actually like really go deeper into the game itself. And I know there are people on YouTube that do that. There's a lot of really good writers and outlets that do that now. I know there's been a movement with a lot of places to move away from scored reviews, which has been really fun to see because those they allow people to really delve much deeper into stuff with the game when they don't have to hit arbitrary, you know, benchmarks for different things in coverage. So I don't know. There's good and bad with both. You know, it's fine. Like I'm perfectly fine having a digestible number as long as there are still people out there that are really taking a close reading of this stuff as well. You know.
yeah.
But my 2-word nuanced review, gay okay.
Yeah, Coop, you're actually right. It has gone up to 4.3 with 71,000 reviews.
Yeah, y'all got anything better to do with?
I mean, we're sitting here talking about it.
Yo, I know that, but like,
Like, I think I saw an article somewhere where the first one only ended up with like 9,500 odd reviews in its entire life cycle, whereas the first one ended up with like that much in what, a week? Like,
just a little sidetrack here to drop into on our next story here. Duke Nukem continues to be just a kind of train wreck mess. Of course, after Duke Nukem Forever came out and sucked ass, people were like, "Hey, but can we make Duke Nukem but better?" But of course, Gearbox and 3D Realms are continuing to argue over who has the rights to Duke Nukem, and are continuing to have lawsuits years fucking later.
I just love the subhead on this, the quote in it from this Eurogamer article that we're looking at. The quote being, "Nothing about Duke Nukem is about profit at this point. It's about goodwill." One, that statement is half true at least. It's not about profit at this point because I don't know how anyone could resurrect Duke Nukem into something that people would actually want to enjoy now. Two, when was Duke Nukem ever about goodwill? When was it ever? Someone tell me, please.
let's edit that statement a little bit and go, when was Duke Nukem about being good?
Like, I guess when Duke Nukem 3D first came out, and they gave a lot of modding tools for people to make different games, and they even paid for specific mods to resell to people with additional work done on them and things along those lines. You could say that. That's about it.
I just love that, like, even now, they're still fighting over the Duke Nukem trademark and the IP, even though, like, what do you even do with that?
Yeah, if you have the Duke Nukem IP, what do? You can't make like a new game out of Duke Nukem because the name's a fucking joke now. You've ruined it. That last game, the game sucked. The marketing for it sucked. Everything about it was fucking hogwash.
The internet was angry because it took away our longest running joke.
I did like the list of things that have taken less time than Duke Nukem, including the entire career of the Beatles.
Also, notably, the Confederacy.
That's a joke that I'm going to use again later in the show, but yes, Duke Nukem Forever did last longer than the Confederacy. That's definitely worth noting, and was probably more successful.
Well, I mean, they put a game out. They actually got their goal done, as opposed to other dumb shits. But no, and speaking to this exactly, like, yeah, okay, like, it sucks that there's definitely some discrepancies here, and the fact that, I'm sure there's like at least a large enough sum of money tied up in this that Gearbox is really trying to push to get this IP for themselves. What they have planned for it, I have no idea, because, like, I mean, I don't know. Let's be fair though. If any company was going to try and do something with the Duke Nukem IP, it's going to be Gearbox, because they're the only company that still makes games that are comparable in tone and obliviousness as Duke Nukem is nowadays. But I don't know. Like, I don't even want to necessarily speculate on what they want the IP for. It's just more of a matter of, like, this whole thing seems murky, and I don't know. Like, it's just I don't know. I just can't get over how weird it is that I'm still talking about Duke Nukem in 2020. Like, I thought I was done with this shit whenever Hollis won his bet.
Hail to the king, baby.
Ugh. Like, I honestly thought that Apogee had just gone away. I didn't know Apogee was still a company.
Yeah, they're the parent company of 3D Realms.
That's so weird. I haven't heard that name in like a decade.
Nobody
What the
has.
fuck?
It's like
So
how
weird.
Google isn't Google. They're technically Alphabet.
You can't see me right now, but I just did like the largest like hands up shrug, like what the fuck move that I could do without saying anything, because I forgot that I'm not on camera.
Hey, you know what is the largest hands up shrug I don't know what to do for me, personally?
What you got?
Our next story. So you may remember back in 2014, a column about how the head writer, Amy Hennig, was forced out of Naughty Dog through nefarious means by high up peoples in the company. Turns out the original person that wrote it, Mitch Dyer, um, couldn't really even confirm whether that was the case or not, whether Neil and others at the company did anything wrong after it. It was mostly, and I remembered to put a pin on what we're talking about IGN being shitty in around 2014. The editors in chief told them, "Hey, we want you to keep this gossip in there as well that we've got. So we need you to run with it, and you're going to put your name on it, so that Sony doesn't get pissed off at us." He does go on to say that he believes that IGN is a better company now. He knows people that still work in IGN that love working there. Rada rada rada. But a lot of people have formed their opinion on Naughty Dog as a company because they ousted one of the most prolific and noted female writers in gaming out the fucking door after putting in some fucking stellar work. And hey, it turns out may have nothing to do with being ousted. Is okay, cool. I don't even know what else to say.
As someone who works in this industry, I am very thankful that I never have had to work for an editor like Tal Blevins or Steve Butts after seeing this. No writer should be forced to include language that conflicts with their own reporting in any article, especially whenever the forced inclusion of that topic causes you to be the brunt of the internet's anger, and your editors do not come to bat for you in the way that Dyer is lining up right here in this series of tweets. This is gross. And I should mention Tal Blevins is also among some of the people that is being having accusations thrown against them in what we previously talked about. In terms of
Hey,
creating a shitty work environment at IGN before he left.
It all
So
comes full circle like a human centipede.
it does. It's the grossest sphere ever. It's a big old glob of slime. Anyway, um, but yeah, no, this is just terrible. Like no writer should have to do this. No editor should do this. And the fact that this was left out there for as long as it was, and that Dyer had as much vitriol thrown their way, like it's you don't want to see this. You never want to see this. And I can attest, like IGN is better now than it
Mhm.
was then. It still has problems, but it's better than
Yes.
it was then. So like yes, Dyer is spot on in how they end it, but like this is just I don't know. Like this I have a mountain of frustration from this week. And this just I was not aware of this story until we started talking about it earlier in the week, until I saw you post it up somewhere in the Discord, and you want to talk about fucking like sending me off all over again? Like fuck this shit.
Yeah, I
Just,
mean, this only came out
I've
earlier
lost the words
today.
for nuance. Like this is just I've lost the words for nuance. Fuck this. This is not how you run an ethical journalistic outlet. You know, like this is just terrible. This is terrible.
It's like there's clickbait and sensationalism, and then there's this.
Yeah, and God, it's shit like this that keeps people like, oh, you can't fucking trust journalists. You can. You can definitely still trust journalists, but hey, see what other outlets are saying and always temper your what you have. This is why when, somebody's like, "Hey, are you going to talk about this piece of gossip on the show?" Probably not, because unless it can really be substantiated, if there's real proof, I have no interest in talking about it. If there are no receipts, um, I am not a journalist enough to go out and find more facts. This is a side job hobby, and I don't want to put any wrong ideas in people's head that I know more than I do. I certainly know more than most people about the gaming industry, its histories, and all that bullshit. Uh, but hey, not a source. This is what I'm getting at here. So, um, I kind of tell people, even if a story sounds really god awful, to keep a little bit of skepticism in there, even if it looks like you've got all the proofs and facts. Just a little bit. This is why, because for every one time a journalist will tell you about this, there's probably a good 100 where it didn't. But at the same time, you're talking 100 pieces out of a million fucking pieces. It doesn't happen that
No,
often.
and the thing that really sucks about this is that like leaving someone like Dyer or any reporter like this out on an island unto themselves, like with no help from your editors whenever they're forcing you to do something like this, it doesn't undercut IGN. It doesn't undercut the editors. It undercuts the writer. The writer
Mhm.
is what feels the brunt of it, and it affects the trust that the audience has in that writer. Now, I will say that this like it didn't necessarily affect my trust in Dyer, because Dyer has been whenever they were still in the journalism field, like they were one of the more prominent names
Mhm.
that I knew of, and so but like if this was anybody else, or like somebody who doesn't have the kind of history or track record that a reporter like Dyer does, like this could be career ending,
Oh
and
yeah.
it's really shitty that people that are in power would sacrifice someone's entire career like that just to punch up an article that they felt um, wasn't like juicy enough, I guess, for lack of a better word, in that way. It's real shitty. It's shitty to see, and it makes me feel really really thankful that I've worked with the editors that I have.
yeah, it reminds me of this is the one that I always go back on, but when I was threatened with a lawsuit, my editors were like, "You have your sources, right?" Yeah, here are all of my sources. Please keep the scary lawyers away from me. And they reviewed and were like, yeah, the every fact that you stated is a very well written fact that is out there. It is definitely a known item. So hey, keep reporting. So I did. But I don't think everyone gets that sort of backing from their editors, and that's horseshit.
I mean, clearly they don't. We just saw a clear example of it.
Yo.
So, yo.
All right. The last piece of suck, just, a very, very small bit of suck, really. Good old Cyberpunk 2020 is being delayed just a couple of months, 2 months to get out the polish and all of that good stuff. Um, hey, it's not what fans want to hear, but I think everyone over this year has gotten kind of used to the idea that delays are going to happen. We may not love it, but 2020, fine. You want to wait till next year to put it out? Fine. I can understand wanting to avoid this hellscape of a year entirely.
I mean, I'm perfectly fine with them delaying this because, like, if you're going to take the time, put out a good game, please take all the time you want. I'm fine with this. Don't give me an unfinished piece of shit and then have to patch it multiple times in like the following days of release. Like, take your time.
I will say this: November 19th is awfully close to that leaked release date for the PlayStation 5.
That is true.
Just saying.
So hey, maybe. Well, we already know. In fact, it has a lot to do with making sure that the compatibility issues, also vis-a-vis including the future content for PS5, Xbox Series X, all of that good stuff, is fine. So yeah, I see no reason not to delay it for those reasons to make sure that you don't have to completely redo maybe an area of your game because this shit isn't going to work on the Series X the way you wanted it to. Got it. Keep that consistency, dog. I feel it. Ooh, all right. Let's take a stretch after all that. Everyone happy in their good place? Cause let's go into actual like. Somehow I need to transition into hype train because holy shit. Like, let's see, 5 different release trailers dropped over the last week that all individually have broken people for how fucking hype it is. And that don't happen in a week. So let's just shoot them down to the barrel. Probably the least hype, but still a oddly fascinating idea. Is that Kingdom Hearts is putting out a rhythm game.
Yo, it's hype somewhere.
Whoever's
Playing Dream Drop Distance still is fucking losing their shit.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of Squeenix fans that I do follow upon the Twitter, and they are fascinated by it because hey, apparently this follows up after Kingdom Hearts 3, so it's going to be really interesting to see where the hell all this shit goes. So yeah, this game also comes out on the Switch. So here's another console you need.
Surprising.
If you want to keep up with all of the fucking Kingdom Hearts game, this is a fucking series that you've got to buy every console that ever exists if you want to actually keep up with everything going on. That shit's hilarious. But yeah, there you go. That's the smallest one. Now potentially the largest one for a lot of people doesn't really hold a whole lot of value to me, but God, people got fucking hyped for this. So get out your Blockbuster cards because you're going to need to be able to print because Pokemon Snap is coming. Pokemon Snap 2, the follow-up to the Nintendo 64 game, is actually fucking happening. It is coming to your Switch, and you can take cute pictures of all your cute, adorable babe Pokemons out there where they go out and do things, and you take pictures, and you get them in wonderful and awesome situations. This shit's adorable. Look at that. Holy fuck.
I'm all aboard this hype train.
That is wholesome as shit.
This is like reason 875 million as to why I need a Switch.
I mean, it's also perfect for the fucking Switch. Imagine you're just like holding your Switch as a fucking camera, looking around, hey, taking pictures of all these Pokemons while I travel here. Good times.
Also, it should be noted the name of the game is New Pokemon Snap, not Pokemon Snap 2.
New Pokemon Snap. I should remember that Nintendo never calls anything 2. It's always new in front of it. And then when it happens a third time, then they start putting numbers after it. That's the way that Nintendo does it.
Super new Pokemon Snap.
Wow. Nintendo's naming schemes are just fucking bizarre, and I love it. It is part of what makes the company fucking masterpiece. So thank you for this gift that you bestow upon us. We shall be taking pictures. I am sure that a copy of this snap will happen somewhere in this house. If I don't get it, Joan will get it, Josh will get it, somebody's gonna fucking have it. I'll end up playing it and I'll let people know if I think it's cool or not. Of course, hey, the opinion of a 36-year-old man about how a game that's primarily targeted at teens plays, man, maybe not the most important, but hey. While we're woo-woo on that 90s nostalgia hype train, Delverin, it is Crash Bandicoot 4. While this was a little bit put out on by Sony previously, we got a full trailer, a launch date. I believe, what was this, October for the launch date?
October 2nd.
Thank you.
Yes.
Even there's a great moment near the end of it, and obviously I have the sound off, so you're not going to hear it, where they're like, "Wait, 4? Haven't we done this more than 3 times already?" Nope, 3 times, only 3. Huh? Fascinating. I appreciate the retro on that.
I mean, they're pulling all of our childhood time sinks. Like, they brought back Spyro a couple years back. They're bringing back Crash. Like, the next thing we need is like Oddworld. And
They're bringing back Oddworld.
What?
But there's a new Oddworld coming. Oh
Mhm.
yeah. There's. A new
Oh,
Oddworld
no
coming.
way. Okay.
Yeah, they fucking brought back Medieval. They are willing to mine our childhood memories for all the monies. And you know what? If they all look as good as this, fine. Take my money.
Yeah, the new Oddworld game is called Oddworld Soulstorm. If you want to check that out, Marilyn.
I probably will. And I mean, next thing I know, you guys are going to tell me that there's going to be like a new Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Fuck that, no.
Not that I'm aware of.
Sorry, that was very abrasive of me. I apologize. No.
Oh, somebody got that for Christmas, so it's not a happy boy, apparently.
I don't know. Just whatever.
But it fucking looks gorgeous. It is, boy, while this isn't being mentioned today, the reviews for the SpongeBob Bikini Bottom came out, and basically every review said the same thing. I mean, if you liked it as a kid or you really like SpongeBob, it's great, but it still plays like a PlayStation 2 game, and boy, that doesn't feel great in the year of our Lord 2020. So hey, if you're
Nope.
going to mind that nostalgia and also bring it up to 2020 standards in some way, cool. Fucking go to town. Unlike movies, I don't really see an issue of coming back to games 10, 15 years later and like, hey, can we do that again but different? Fucking go to town. It doesn't matter. As long as you have a good idea for it.
Exactly.
The next on the hype train agenda, boy, I told everyone I fucking love Bloodstained. It was such a good game, and the retro 8-bit game that Inti creates based on that was great. And basically, directly after that game came out, the 8-bit one, they just expected to be something fun for the fans to also include. It sold fucking gangbusters, especially the speedrunning community around that game is huge. So they are putting out Curse of the Moon 2, a second bloodstained retro 8-bit looking game by developers Intu Creates. And if you give Intu Creates some old school legacy thing to make, they may make 90% good with like 10% shit. There is some, awful in Intu Creates back folder, but they are a fucking talented company that understands how to make old school roots feel fresh.
No, like this was a very welcome surprise whenever it came out. And I'm glad that they recognized that and they're putting out the second one. Like this will be very. I'm very interested to see like now that they actually have like a full on like true dedication to developing something like this, like exactly what they're gonna do with it.
For me, it looks like this may go into where the union between Zangetsu and Dominique that you see play out in the full 3D game that Koji made and all that good stuff. There's some characters, fucking train mecha. I don't remember that one being canon, but yeah, sure, it's cool. These characters all look sick as fuck. So I am down to see how they all play, and I'm more than happy to play David Hayterson yet over again. So bring it. I'm in. And while we are on ye retro style games, the one that made me make funny noises when I saw it, Rogue Legacy 2 is coming out. The early access trailer, I'm probably going to wait till the full game is released to really sink my teeth into it, but hell yeah. I put too many hours into Rogue Legacy 1. Rogue Legacy, if you don't know, is a roguelike game where you have a succeeding succession of descendants that you leave your riches to, and you gather more riches and give them to your descendants to build a bigger castle. But all of your descendants have unique quirks, some of them good, some of them really fucking weird, and it makes the game fun and quirky and different each and every time you play it. It's fucking gold.
No, the original one is really good and really innovative, especially within the roguelike genre, and I'm really glad that they're coming back to this. I think I've heard rumblings about this for a little while now, so I'm glad that we finally got confirmed.
Yeah, my only concern really is how do you keep that loop fresh, right? That each of your descendants has different abilities and different quirks and problems or positives that they may have going for them each time. You can't just rely on the fact that that was a fresh idea at the time. to continue with it. So I'm really hoping they do some interesting new things with that layout. So yeah, July 23rd, you can get your start on early access. I mean, early access for roguelikes, I don't think are a terrible idea because the game will continue to develop as time goes by. So, hey, I'm not going to hate on anybody for hitting up them roguelikes, but yeah, it'll be really interesting to see. I'll probably end up playing the game regardless of whether people say it's good or not.
No,
So, sorry. Oh, go ahead.
no, you go ahead. I'm good.
So like I didn't play the first one, but from what I'm gathering, this is kind of like Reigns, but an action game.
Yeah. And yeah, it's not only that, it's while in Reigns, you left a legacy, you're literally building a castle, so each one of your descendants over time is progressively stronger and better in various things, regardless of what type of build that your descendant is based on. And you get to choose one descendant out of a list, but usually, you're left at least having to choose one. And hey, all three may have a shitty build, or one may have just a gloriously fucking weird build. And you look at it and go, fuck it. I'll waste 20 minutes of my life going through this life just to see what sort of weird shit this boy gets up to.
All right, I'm gonna have to get my hands on it.
All right. We have one story left for the evening. Go ahead, Brian.
Wait, real quick.
Hmm.
You forgot the most notable game announcement of the week. Skate 4, motherfucker. Skate 4. Skate 4 is real.
You know what?
You haven't seen it yet, but Skate 4 is real.
Yeah, Skate 4 is a thing that has finally happened. The meme can finally die. Purely
It's never die.
Purely because people kept continuously making the jokes over and over and over again. The company was like, yeah, you brought it back to life by making this continue to be a thing. So Skate 4 is finally coming to fill your eye sockets with that dope-ass skate trickery.
Skate 4 is back. I am all in. I don't even really like the skate games all that much, but the fact that Skate 4 they finally have acquiesced to the meme lords makes me very happy. It's beautiful. It's just
I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't even aware Skate was a thing that existed until the memes about Skate 4 started happening. And then after it's like, oh, cool, it's kind of a dumber Tony Hawk. I'm okay.
well, it's like way more street focused, I think, than what Tony Hawk is. But
Yeah,
it's just a different style of game. But like I don't know, it's just great. I love that like I don't necessarily know if the meme was like 100% responsible for this, but like in my mind, I have to. It's just beautiful. Also, the fact that the dude who made Brothers and A Way Out is making a game about a child dealing with their parents' divorce makes me I have no idea what to expect from that.
yeah. There's so many stories that came up this week that just couldn't really be totally included in the list this week that I would still love to talk about, but as I said, while we have one story left, it's going to take 30 minutes. There's a lot to unpack.
I just couldn't let new game announcements go by without mentioning Skate 4.
Skate 4! Skate 4!
Where that Skate 4 at? It's here now. Soon. We haven't seen it yet, but it's coming.
God, we get a new Half-Life, we get Skate 4. What's the next joke for, hey, when are they going to make this? It's gone, it's dead. We don't have any more joke games to mention anymore. Battletoads is happening.
Duke Nukem Forever 2.
Forever Eternal.
New Forever.
We are still waiting on Half-Life 3.
Yeah, but we got like Alex coming and all that shit. Don't bite my hand, young man.
I don't know. Let's talk about Mixer.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's talk about the death of Mixer, the gaming platform that outlasted the Confederacy, by the way, by 3 solid months. So, applause to Mixer for lasting that long on just goodwill and faith, despite getting a third of the following that Facebook Gaming has, a thing that I didn't know existed. That was a number I wasn't expecting. But yeah, apparently the world was taken by fucking surprise when a tweet came out of goddamn nowhere. Hey, Mixer partners, streamers, and community, today we've got some very big news for you. While we decided to close the operations side of Mixer, we've officially partnered with Facebook Gaming, and we're cordially inviting all of you to join. And the entire internet went, what the shit?
This is just like a clusterfuck in a box.
This came out of literally goddamn nowhere. We'll get into more. We'll get into these sections. I'll mention a little bit more in depth. But a lot of the content creators didn't know. The employees didn't fucking know. This just suddenly dropped. When Mixer had been talking all of these years about, hey, we're a community and we love you guys and we want to be something bigger and better. And then it's like, hey, we'll get you into Facebook Gaming, bro. Come on. You get on this great Facebook action.
I mean, the fact that there were partners that were finding out about this while they streamed.
Holy shit.
And I mean, to become a partner of Mixer, it takes a lot. These are people that you don't want to screw over if you want to keep making money. And wow.
Oh yeah, Giant Pie did mention one thing that I haven't included in this. The hilarious part of all of this is that this came out literally a few hours after a former Mixer employee came out talking about how he quit the company because one of his previous managers during a meeting started talking about how the consumers of this media are her slaves.
It wasn't even just the consumers, it was the partners on the platform.
Yeah, the partners on the platform are her slaves. And it's like, you realize how, as a black man, that comparison might not be apt to have. And she decided that it was clearly his problem, not hers, because the Google definition was on her side. So clearly she was correct.
And the fact that there was an investigation by a lawyer and that the legal team found that there was no racism because this manager hired someone who is black. Therefore, she couldn't be racist.
I have a black friend. Cool. This whole thing is just fucking weird from the top down. Now, The Verge does mention the partnership with Facebook very likely has a whole lot to do with the xCloud project. Mainly Microsoft giving a little gift to Facebook of, hey, here's some of our Mixer partners. You can take these into your Facebook gaming thing, and we have a partnership strategy. Hi, Sebastian Fox. Yes, Mixer. There's so much fucking weird about it, and even in the 30 minutes we have, there isn't enough time. Pie, yes, we will get to all of these stories over time. Promise you. Don't worry about it. That's what we're here for. Phil Spencer, I think the Mixer community is really going to benefit from the broad audience that Facebook has through their properties and the ability to reach gamers in a very seamless way through the social platform Facebook has.
Except streaming to Facebook versus streaming to something like Twitch or Mixer is so different. So very different.
Oh yeah, it's a fucking huge difference. That is an entirely different audience.
And also the fact that they're saying, oh well, you know, if you're a consumer on Mixer and you've got outstanding balances in Embers and Sparks, which is like bits here on Twitch, we'll give you a Xbox gaming check. Well, that's cool if you have an Xbox. Like, I've watched people on Mixer. I don't own an Xbox.
Woo! Yeah, and Facebook, well known for being a place where the Zoomers love to congregate. The fucking target audience, what with Mixer was going for.
Because everyone trusts Facebook. Everyone loves spending all of that sweet, sweet time on Facebook.
Come on, don't you have a Facebook?
Like, I'm sorry, but like, I get that Facebook has broadened their approach with stuff and is trying to branch into new avenues, and they clearly have the fact that they even have a higher base of people using their service than Mixer did, like that bewilders me, honestly, as someone who pays attention to that. But also, like, let's face it, Facebook is probably the least cool, for lack of a better word, social media platform right now. Definitely worse in that ballpark when it comes to streaming sites at this point. I'm pretty sure that most people, if I just polled most people, they would probably rather stream to YouTube than Facebook gaming at this point. So I don't know. I just don't know if this really is the right move. Like, yes, Facebook has a high install base of users, but how many of them? I wonder what I don't know what the exact percentage breakdown is, but I'm curious to see, like, between how many people have Facebook profiles and how many people engage with Facebook gaming, like where the percentages break down. Because I can't imagine the majority of Facebook users utilize Facebook gaming.
And they've really put Facebook as the leading edge on content creators really getting what they want. Hey, we all remember when companies like College Humor pivoted to Facebook and did fucking great for them, right?
Well, the thing is, like, this is honestly the only avenue that Microsoft really had, if you look at it, because I mean, let's face it, probably the main reason why they're doing this, other than the fact that Mixer just can't support itself at this point, especially after doling out huge contracts to people like Ninja and Shroud to come over and stream exclusively there, is the fact that their competitors are all owned by other competitors in the gaming sphere. They can't make a deal like this with YouTube because Google owns YouTube, and they're trying to do some similar stuff with Stadia to what Microsoft wants to do with xCloud, with their interface with Facebook gaming. They are not going to partner with Twitch on this because, well, one, I can only assume that Twitch would probably not be interested in partnering with them out of some form of spite for pulling some of their larger streamers off of the platform, even though more than likely they're going to be returning to Twitch now that Mixer is no more. But also, Amazon owns Twitch. Amazon is likely not. They have their own game dev stuff going on, and while it is not in the same character as what xCloud or Stadia is doing, Amazon has bigger fish to fry than trying to partner with Microsoft on this, and I just don't see how that deal would have made a ton of sense. Whenever you already have you have the biggest platform already with Twitch, and you already are basically the largest fucking corporation, most valuable corporation and retail outlet on the planet. It just didn't make. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me for them to make that deal. So really, Facebook gaming is the only avenue, because as much as I like caffeine is nowhere near big enough.
Reporting on things, not just this story, but a whole lot in 2020, feels like I'm reporting in one of those lucid dreams where you're kind of like, these stories, like they work. I understand where everything's connecting and adding up, but the brain's is like, there's something wrong here. there's some threads that I need to pull on a little bit harder, because you told me a fucking week ago that Mixer was going to partner and be basically bought out by Facebook Gaming. Said you fucking crazy.
What I'm concerned about is you have a lot of smaller streamers that when personalities like Ninja and Shroud made the move to Mixer, a lot of smaller streamers who are in the affiliate program here on Twitch decided to do like a mass exodus to go to Mixer, where they had to start from the beginning again. And now they're going to have to start from the beginning again somewhere else.
So let's get into, we'll go from the top to the bottom, because the big thing that everyone that has been talking about after this is, so the big news that Mixer had really only had to its credit is that it was able to pool talent like Ninja and Shroud with huge contracts. And so the obvious question everyone had is, hi, where's that money going? And essentially, they cashed out on those. So that contract that Ninja has, that is, reportedly around $30 million, he streamed for 1 year to Mixer, and now he gets to do whatever he wants to. It is reported by several outlets that Ninja, Shroud, King Athleon, all of these people were offered Facebook contracts that would double what they were currently making on Mixer. And they all quite rightly said, fuck it. I don't blame them, but I wouldn't move to Facebook, and they already lost so many viewers moving from Twitch to Mixer. You talk about moving again? Fuck off. We'll go back to Twitch and start back over on Twitch again. I already know the people there. They'll be fine.
I do want to give some kudos to Ninja and all of this, though, because while he hasn't made an announcement as to, yes, I'm coming back to Twitch, he and his wife, after finding out about this, and after, I guess, dealing with all of his legal side of it, decided to bounce around on Mixer for an evening and bestow massive raids and donations and sub bombs to smaller streamers on Mixer.
It's nice of him, at least.
I mean, the kid just walked away with $30 million, and yes, I'm going to call him a kid because I think he's still in his 20s.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. And you walk away with $30 million, you kind of look like an ass to not show the love, but he's one of the few, like, super genuine, big-name streamers out there. So, kudos to him.
Yeah, as much as I have some problems with Ninja, you can at least say he isn't real. 29 years old, yeah. I mean, not that much younger than us, but younger enough.
He's still 20s. Still a baby.
He was born in the 90s, it don't count. Real people weren't born in the 90s or later. So, yeah, as far as the research on that, Richard Lewis was the one that initially said sources familiar to the deal have informed me that while Facebook did try and negotiate to keep their big partners, both Shroud and Ninja opted out. They have received their full payments, and as of midnight yesterday, were free to engage in talks with other platforms. Game on.
See, I know Twitch is gonna go, yeah. So, you gonna come crawling back?
There's three ways that you could either go if you're either Ninja or Shroud. Some of the lesser ones maybe not so much, but I know if I suddenly found myself in the bevy of $10 million, I would never go back to streaming again. At least not on the schedule that they fucking have. Let's be real. People like Ninja and Shroud stream constantly. They are always on the watch by people. That's got to be tiring as fuck. I do not envy their lives at all, even with the millions of dollars. But hey, that's me. I don't have that personality. Otherwise, hey, they could invest, make a company or something along the lines, or yeah, fuck it. They can keep that streak alive. Go back to Twitch and have that first day back on Twitch. Hey guys, blowing it up here. It's the welcome back to Twitch party, everyone. And God, that feels hollow as shit to me.
I mean, personally, it would be like a month-long vacation where I sort out my shit, weigh my options, and just like fuck off to some little island somewhere where I can pretend the world doesn't exist.
I don't want an island. Fuck that. But get a nice house somewhere downtown. That would be nice. Just have a house. Just fucking pay off a house. Pay off all my debts. All of them.
A house? A house would be cool. It's not going to happen in my lifetime, but a house would be cool.
But of course, there's some huge news that honestly a lot of the media hasn't really hit on a whole lot in regards to this. And Reset Era was one of the first places that I was seeing discussion on this. Several Mixer employees posted to their Twitter that they have found out via tweet. A lot of them found out at a all staff meeting directly before the tweet came out. So they have a 30 days notice at least before the company folds. But hey guys, go write your resumes cause you're fucked. And there's a lot of people that work at Mixer that believed very strongly in Mixer. I mean, yeah, of course, there's in this industry, there's going to be people that are just in it for the money, but people that get into a platform like this get into it for the love of the game per se, more often than not. So, big old bag of dicks to Mixer for fucking over their employee. All right, Giant Pie does make a point. Most of them are getting transferred, or have the option to be transferred somewhere else. But you can't imagine a lot of them would want to go to other departments. I think this is where a lot of them wanted to be.
I mean, it's good that they're migrating people over, but like also, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's a completely different. It's a completely different culture.
Yeah,
Like Mixer cultivated itself to be a much more positive environment than what we've seen on Twitch. And I don't know enough about Facebook Gaming's kind of overarching culture to really speak to it personally, but I can probably safe to say that it's not the same as what it was, 100% what it was on Mixer. So like at this, like while it's nice that they are having the opportunity given to them to move over to the platform. I don't know if people are going to be as comfortable utilizing that platform in similar ways.
Yeah, it's a fucking trash fire. um, at the very least, these people aren't, hey, pack your boxes, end of the week you're out. At least there's ways for them to continue to work for the company if they really want to, all that good stuff. But cool and great. Um, but they, of course, were not the only ones that did not find out until after, as Lady Merowyn so much pointed out to us. There were a lot of Mixer streamers that were in the middle of their stream when this shit was announced. And it's not as if the, mid-tier streamers uh, really got a notification or anything at all. And I don't think most of these streamers are going to want to go over to fucking Facebook gaming. They'll have to start making a whole, some people sure will go from Mixer over to Twitch to follow their favorite streamers, sure, but it is difficult during a move, and they're going to lose people when they do this. And I mean, some of them, one of them at least that was mentioned in this was kind of like one of those like people were suddenly doing subs, dropping them, so it was kind of a happy tier, but this was a common sight to see across Mixer directly after this was announced.
The thing is like they said right in their original notice that we're reaching out to our partners shortly via email. Okay, so like this news dropped and then they emailed their partners. And only the partners, so not the people that were this close to being partnered.
Mhm.
It was like, so you've got this person who's been streaming on Mixer for a year, right? Or longer. And they are so close to becoming partnered. They've worked their way up from the bottom, and now they're getting told, yeah, all that work you just did, go start over. Because only the partners are being offered a deal close to what they have on Mixer if they move over to Facebook. So, because Mixer didn't have an affiliate program like they do here.
Mm.
So there was no mid-tier to be. It was either you're a nobody or you're a partner. And it's a really shitty situation that they've put these people into. Because yeah, okay, so you get to get into the Level Up Gamer program on Facebook, which is what? I mean, I've seen Facebook Gaming. I've never heard of this program.
Yeah, most of us, I think, were kind of caught surprised by this is just out of fucking nowhere. How do you find out about this?
Yeah.
This is goddamn ridiculous. But yeah, hey,
Yeah.
there's no positive, there's no bow to wrap around this really, because at the end of the day, this is a lot of people. Even if there's an avenue for them, having to basically rehome your entire career sucks ass. You're, looking for a completely different market. A lot of these people probably never bothered to put their, eggs in other baskets. I know a lot of the more prominent social media people will generally try to, keep. Is why you see a lot of YouTubers, especially, putting out TikToks. Is it because they're getting a lot of revenue off of that? No. But they got to keep a presence everywhere, just in case this is the next big thing to really take over everyone's eyeballs.
So just a note, I did a little bit of checking into this Level Up program. So all of the streamers that are on Mixer that do like just chatting streams
Mhm.
don't qualify. It must be a gaming stream.
Hooray.
Oh, so we could monetize. That's cool.
This is like, I'm reading through these requirements. They're ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous just to qualify for the program.
Oh, shit's fucking weird. But hey, that's our stream today for June 23rd, 2020. This one was really fucking weird to go through, but hey, thanks everyone. Hey, by the way, the 8 p.m. thing on Tuesday, keep a little docket on that, because next week me and Brian will be coming to you at this time with a different podcast. The History of the World will be coming out, and there we will be talking about the history of video games. We have a very special subject that we're going to be working on there, the Fairchild F and all of the things associated with it. Primarily, I wanted to do this as a testing ground, an Article Zero, if you will, because one of the key components of the story is a certain Mr. Jerry Lawson. Mispronounced his name. Sorry if my brain is fudge right now. But the developer of the original Vigigame cartridge was a prominent black man. Worked with Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, most notably, and just from every interview I've seen of him, a hell of a hilarious guy. So hey, it felt right during all of the protests and whatnot to at least do our episode 0, where we sit down and talk about something related to how Black Lives Matter. So that's my plug. But of
Yeah, it's gonna be
course,
fun.
I'm excited. It's good to have
too.
new projects. Anyway, we cannot end an episode of Mr. Video Games ever, never, without declaring our Mr. Video Game of the Week. Of course, most of you have been here, John Pye, Calver, and Coop. All of you people out there listening to us right now with your lovely earbuds. You know what, Giant Pie? I don't need your fucking back sass here. Yeah. Fucking fine. Spoil it. Go ahead. Mr. Video Games. I'm not even going to tell you what Mr. Video Games is. It's Billy Mitchell. Billy Mitchell's Mr. Video Games for this week. There you go.
Again.
Because we can't not talk about Billy Mitchell and that face. Look at that face. It's not the face of a human being. That is not the face of a man that has done good things with his life.
You know, in light of Billy Mitchell, we are going, I would like to make a proposal. Come January or end of December, we should go back and we should take a look at all of our Mr. Video Games for the year and give ourselves a penultimate Mr. Video Games for 2020.
I can see doing that. Yeah.
I'm into the idea.
At the very least, Billy Mitchell is going to have an honorable mention for being the most Mr. Video Gameable person of 2020.
Yeah, it's been what? Well, not all the times we've talked about him has he been Mr. Video Game, but he'd be tied, I think, with Hideo Kojima, actually. Either way, really, the part that most sung the song to me, by the way, the story really overall is that Guinness, the world record company, not the beer company, despite the advertisement that we're seeing here, decided to say, hey, Billy, you're probably right. We'll reinstate you as the most notable video game player of all time, you clearly have the longest dick and be very proud of it. But when asked for their feelings, Twin Galaxy's response was Kermit the Frog drinking iced tea. I think that's a good response to have. Just kick back and watch this dumb fucking shit happening, and it's like, all right, this is dumb as hell, but hey, let's fucking ride the train and see where it goes, right?
My only comment about this is that let's not forget that the Guinness World Record Company is perfectly fine giving out world records to ruthless dictators in Asia and other continents simply for getting that PR kickback money. Get fucked, Guinness. You have no credibility.
Oh, that fucking book stopped mattering sometime after the late 90s. In the early aughts, I stopped giving a fuck about Guinness because they became a joke of a company. Because they'll put fucking anything in those books now. I remember upon a time that there was whole writings on, hey, here's the tallest man ever, here's the shortest person ever, and all that fun stuff. Now it's, this pub man walked a mile with the nose on his egg. Nose on his egg. I am really tired.
I'm tired of Billy Mitchell.
Yep.
Dude, get fucked.
Oh, well, this has been Mr. Video Games for July the 23rd, 2020. Ooh, what a fucking day. All right. Brian, you got any final words for us this evening?
Oh god, I'm so sweaty and tired and look, just in light of everything that's gone down this week, believe survivors and be good to one another, and for God's sakes, if you know of anybody that is being mistreated or abused or anything, you stand by them, support them. Just listen, even if that's the only thing you can do. Listen, and we'll get through this, and hopefully things will, there'll be some changes made. I don't know. You check out my writing at outsports.com, and follow me on Twitter at WonderboyOTM, and I also host a queer wrestling podcast, LGBT in the Ring. Comes out every Thursday. Obviously enough, we're going to be talking about this stuff on that show as well this week.
Cool.
So you can follow that show on Twitter at LGBT Ring Pod. So yeah, fun stuff.
Lady Marilyn, any final words for us this evening?
Don't be a dick. Love each other. Be cool to each other. Like Brian said, if you know anybody who's going through this, stand by them, give them your support, lend an ear or a shoulder to cry on. We got to hold each other up. We really do. And, remember that COVID thing is still a thing. Be careful out there. Be safe. Wash your damn hands. And just try to have a good week, guys.
My final statement to all of you, of course, beforehand, hey, we got links to our tweeters, to our discords. Hey, if you want to follow the context of all the shit that we talk about, we're always talking about it on our twitters and our discord, all of that good shit. We are active social media fuckers, and we would love to hear what you have to say. Of course, hey, if you give us a news story that you want to hear that we didn't recognize or follow up on, we'd absolutely love to hear about it. So, hey, join us, talk to us. We're a community here, and we're never going to go away, ever.
No, seriously, if we're going to pull a mixer, we'll let you guys know in advance.
A little bit. But my final words this evening, the Confederacy existed for 5 years. Golden Girls was on the air for 7 years. That means that Golden Girls is a bigger part of our history, and we should build statues of Blanche. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful day.
Bye.